Good evening, America. I'm Elvis Costello, and what's so fun about peace, love, and understanding? We'll continue searching. In the meantime, welcome to News Drops TV, a conservative, humorous twist when needed, as an add to the news mixology. Let's get into today.
And I'm Debbie Harry. One way or another, I'm gonna getcha. You're watching News Drops TV, where we bring you the news that matters. Don't show up with a heart of glass for this atomic blast. Let's get straight to tonight's top stories.
Well, Debbie, it looks like House Democrats are at it again, this time dusting off their favorite solution to everything, writing checks with taxpayer money.
That's right, Elvis. Representative Ayanna Pressley is leading the charge to reintroduce H.R. 40, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act.
Study and develop? That's political speak, for we've already made up our minds.
The bill aims to create a federal commission to investigate the impacts of slavery and develop proposals for reparations. But interestingly, even in California, similar bills failed to pass.
Failed in California? Now that's saying something.
Indeed, even Governor Newsom wouldn't touch that one. The proposal faced significant pushback from both sides of the aisle, with critics pointing out the astronomical costs and logistical challenges.
And let's not forget the taxpayers who'd be footing this bill weren't even born when these historical injustices occurred.
Well, that doesn't matter to folks like Ayanna Pressley, who would rather push out a tired monologue about deprivation and victimization than really doing something to help her constituents in urban Boston. So, how much did the Greeks wind up getting from the Italians from the Balkan slave trade? That could be a good reference point for establishing a value, accounting for inflation, of course. That really gets big with the Biden add-on.
Finally, some fiscal responsibility in Washington. House Republicans have released a budget plan that actually addresses our astronomical debt.
The numbers are significant, Elvis. $4.5 trillion in tax cuts and $2 trillion in spending reductions.
And Speaker Johnson says nearly all House Republicans are on board. Imagine that. Politicians actually trying to cut spending.
The plan includes resources for border security, extending tax cuts, and incentivizing domestic manufacturing. But there's a twist. The Senate has its own ideas.
Don't they always? Senator Graham wants to split this into two packages.
Because one big beautiful bill just isn't complicated enough, right? Do they do this kind of move for ego polishing or just to toss in some confusion?
What starts off as a good presentable array of good ideas gets cut into a 1,000-piece puzzle that AI would be challenged to reconstruct.
They could just follow the Pelosi plan, where you need to pass the bill first. That's the only path to understanding it. Like once it's passed, the hieroglyphics are easily translated into English.
In what might be the most predictable lawsuit of 2025, 8 former inspectors general are suing over their termination. By definition, their job is to assure federal agencies are running efficiently and preventing and detecting waste, fraud, and abuse.
And which one of those items do they claim they've done a really good job on? That would justify their continuing employment. These watchdogs turned sleepy sloths got a 2-sentence email saying thanks but no thanks, and now they're crying foul.
They're claiming the firings violated federal statutes, and I'm guessing it's the statutes they've established claiming they are above reproach, and that they are just that special.
One of them, Hannibal Mike Ware, says they save taxpayers about $100 billion annually.
Yeah, they save in salaries and decisions on how to allocate tax dollars. Well, if they're so good at saving money, maybe they should have seen this coming.
The Justice Department hasn't commented yet, but Merrick Garland, leaving his position, was last seen taking a cruise to Epstein Island.
Speaking of government spending, Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, is living up to its name, sort of.
While the advisory group has more than doubled its $6.75 million budget to $14.4 million.
But hold on, Debbie, it may appear somewhat inefficient. However, they continue to turn up billions in cost avoidances, on the level of $37 billion. That's a 99% payback on investment. I'll take it.
And they're targeting what they call unnecessary positions and government programs. Here's a few $20 million to create Sesame Street in Iraq, $2 million for Moroccan pottery classes, $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbian workplaces. So far, we've saved over $8 million.
Sesame Street? Really? Why not SpongeBob SquarePants or The Simpsons? At least it's more serious than government expenditures. Here's some good news. Former Democratic Representative Tulsi Gabbard has been confirmed as Director of National Intelligence.
The vote was 52 to 48, mostly along party lines. Although Mitch McConnell did oppose her confirmation.
Mitch seems to have lost his way. He's reminding me of a Biden short-circuited Jabba the Hutt, and if he wanders off too far, his extension cord can't reach, and he seizes like a deer caught in headlights. These overstuffed windbags should find a place to sit and enjoy their last days rather than work so hard to keep a free republic other than free.
Well, okay to that, Elvis. How do you really feel? Some Democrats are concerned about her past meetings with Syrian President Assad and her stance on FISA Section 702.
Because heaven forbid someone actually questioning the intelligence community's methods. The Federal Communications Commission is taking aim at corporate DEI programs, starting with media giant Comcast.
FCC Chairman Brendan Carr says he wants to root out DEI initiatives that might violate equal employment laws.
Imagine that. Treating everyone equally might actually be better than forced diversity.
Comcast says they're cooperating with the FCC, which in corporate speak means we'll go along because that's the current trend, but we really have no foundational morals, so whatever.
2 students in New Hampshire are now targeting President Trump's executive order on women's sports.
The order, titled Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports, is facing its first legal challenge.
Because biological truths continue to show up as controversial.
The transformed students previously won the right to try out for girls' teams while challenging the state ban.
So what grabs me is the fact that teenage boys had parental consent to go ahead and modify their reproductive parts based on teenage feelings? Isn't that like feeling so good that you can fly and your spouse walks you to the cliff and says, "Jump"? So where were the transformed girls saying they wanted to play in male sports? The president's latest executive order takes aim at the bloated federal workforce.
1 hire for every 4 departures. Now that's what I call a diet plan for big government.
And special focus on those temporary employees and DEI positions. But don't worry, public safety and law enforcement are exempt.
Legal challenges are expected because apparently you can't reduce government without someone suing. I really don't get the mindset that says we shouldn't review if we have excess. It's like you just keep buying stuff that you don't use, but put in your attic. And now there's so much stuff that your ceiling beams are bending and on their way to collapse. But don't worry, it's not the junk that's the problem. It's that you didn't recognize my pronouns. Now that's the problem.
The White House is pushing back against judicial activism, calling it the real constitutional crisis.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt points out that district court judges in liberal districts are blocking presidential authority.
12 injunctions in 14 days? That must be some kind of record.
Remember when judges used to interpret laws instead of thinking they can make them?
I'm certain we could find some Soros dollar in the campaigns for their questionably honorable judgeships. A former Obama ICE director says Trump's mass deportation plan could be possible.
John Sandweg notes that under Obama, they focused on serious criminals. Now, the net is much wider.
How dare we enforce all immigration laws, not just some of them?
Religious groups are suing over changes to the sensitive locations policy. With Trump's aggressive approach, there are now more than 24 religious groups suing the Trump administration due to a policy change that allows ICE agents to make arrests in churches. Not sure if they're Christian, but to my recollection, Jesus was obedient to state law.
Breaking news from PBS, they're shuttering their DEI office. Big Bird will have to learn about merit-based hiring now.
What a shame. And here I was looking forward to Sesame Street, the Equity Edition.
The public broadcaster says they're ensuring compliance with the president's executive order.
And NPR? Still no comment on their diversity office. Stay tuned. And NPR remains unbiased without sway toward government position?
Missouri's Attorney General is taking on Starbucks, claiming their DEI practices are slowing down your morning coffee.
Because nothing says discrimination like waiting an extra minute for your grande sugar-free vanilla soy latte.
The lawsuit claims they're not hiring the most qualified workers, leading to slower service and higher prices.
Not sure how the higher prices become affected, but what's the problem with the person that identifies as a dog not understanding your order because you don't bark its language? Where is your compassion and understanding?
And finally, Sean Diddy Combs is suing NBC for $100 million over their documentary.
The rapper, currently awaiting trial on federal charges, claims the documentary made false and defamatory statements. This coming from a guy that is facing sex trafficking, racketeering, and engagement in prostitution charges. Well, if he's found not guilty, I guess NBC would be issuing a big apology.
He's seeking damages for reputational and economic harm. Poor P, hard to believe coming from someone that had all that baby oil to hand because he was going to give it away for all the new babies coming into the world. You know, for parents that can't afford all that baby oil.
Yeah, nothing helps your reputation like suing from jail.
And that's our broadcast for tonight. I'm Elvis Costello. Remember, America, keep watching those detectives because Veronica told me the angels want to wear my red shoes, and sometimes the news isn't just news, it's entertainment.
For News Drops TV, I'm Debbie Harry, and dreaming is free when the tide is high. That's it for now. Be thankful and enjoy what you have. It's more than you think. If you liked our content, please give us a like and hit subscribe for more views through the News Drops scope.